Hello and welcome to the Freedom Zone, where truth is set free, whether you like it or not. I'm your host, Candace, and I have some current observations that I would like to share with you today. But first of all, I'd like to give kudos to those who have done a great job and performed their duties admirably. I don't mind complaining when something's not right, and by the same token, I like to be sure that I give good marks to those who have done their duties and a good job. I have a huge shout out for the Charles George VA Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. My husband was admitted Friday for an outpatient procedure. The doctors, the anesthesiologist, the pre-op group, the nurses, before and after the procedure and in recovery were outstanding. Outstanding. And this is something that has been going on for a while with the VA, having some problems, having things going on. The Charles George VA in Asheville is fabulous. They have done a fabulous job. We get nothing but respect and good treatment from them. So I would like to say thank you so much for a good job. Does anybody know why the VA is named the Charles George VA? It's a very interesting story of a great Native American hero who got the Medal of Honor posthumously, unfortunately. Charles George was born in the community of Birdtown in Cherokee, North Carolina. He's a full-blooded Cherokee from the Bird clan and grew up near the Oconaluftee River with his family. He enlisted in the Army in 1951 and became a private. His orders were to fight in the Korean War. He was gravely wounded in battle on November 30th, 1952, when he threw himself on a grenade to save others in his country. There's no greater thing you can do is to lay down your life for a friend, and he did that for the other people. He was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously for his heroic act which saved his comrades. More information on his life is recorded online and can be found by looking up his name. I encourage everyone to do so and to visit his memorials both at the VA facility and in Cherokee, North Carolina. He is a true American hero and a Native American hero dually. Another shout out I have is to my senator from North Carolina, Richard Burr. I have a letter from the Honorable Senator right here. He answered my request to back up the President for our border security and to build the Great Wall. He assured me of his support for the President and his plan. Thank you, Senator Burr. I wrote my other senator, Tom Tillis, as well, but I haven't got his letter. I'm still waiting. But in the end, he did support the wall and the emergency that President Trump declared, though previously he had gotten a little rhino feelings that he might have to go against it. But he did pull it out at the last minute, and we're taking one for the team, and that's good. Maybe I'll hear from him next week. So today I would like to take a moment and talk about the country of Puerto Rico. It's a really nice beachy area and a tourist area. It's a commonwealth of the United States. It was a booming commonwealth up until like 1996 because it had gotten some special tax breaks from the government, and it lured a lot of pharmaceutical companies and other businesses to the island. But in 1996, when Congress began to phase out the tax break, it led to declining revenue. 10 years later, of course, the recession came and wiped it and the rest of us out. It crunched down hard, and it made the island even poorer. Now, most of us, when our money gets tight, what we do is we downsize. We don't go out to eat. We cut the cable program. We don't drive around too much. Whatever we have to do to make our money match our budget. Of course, the government of Puerto Rico did not use that method. They began to borrow money. They didn't invest this money that they were borrowing in long-term infrastructure or growth. Mainly they were doing like enough to cover next week kind of loans, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and that's really always a bad idea, not only personally but especially for a government. Why is it a bad idea? Well, right now it's unknown how much of the money that they had borrowed, they can't account for it. And the electrical grid that they had in Puerto Rico was allowed to degenerate into very bad shape. And by the time Hurricane Maria, which we all remember, came through and did a lot of devastation, came through, the electrical grid, which was already in really bad shape, was in horrible shape, and it was almost impossible. We sent the Army Corps of Engineers down to help. And Jose Sanchez, who was at the time head of the power grid restoration of the Army Corps of Engineers, was quoted to say, "There are elements that had not been replaced in years as his team struggled to restore power to the island. It just wasn't much of a power grid left, and it wasn't just the power grid. We had the water pumping stations, bridges, roads, and levees had been starved of an investment of cash for years and years." So naturally, it's not like you knock down a few lines, trees, you cut them, you fix it, you put it back, it's okay. There it was beyond that. It was already being held together by baling wire, chewing gum, and spit. So when the hurricane came through, that was it. It was devastated. But it's not just that. The island during that time of when they were borrowing money, they only had 5 building code inspectors for 3.5 million people. That's all they could afford on that island. Now, you think about it, that's not very good when they're building something, when somebody's renovating something. They're able to either avoid the code inspection, or they have to wait until someone can come out and look at it. And the bad thing is, and this was something that affected me, it affected a great many people here on the mainland. There was a time right before the recession where the banks were handing out loans like lollipops. They were just throwing them to everybody. And people who could not pay the money back, there was no way that they could ever repay it, not just mortgages, but commercial loans. And I think that it was a planned thing to take the wealth away from the middle class and they want a 2-class system anyway, I think, the powers that be. And that was one way, is to get you so far in debt that you could never get your head above water. These people who were making these loans got commissions, they got fees, so they were having a great time making money on people who were suffering, which is not an uncommon story, not something you haven't heard before. But when you just keep betting on a country that's a weak, dying horse, you can't expect to get any recouption of your money. There was just no way that they could ever pay it back, and there was no accountability on where that money went. It wasn't put back in the infrastructure. So fast forward to the present day, where President Trump is still being blamed for the problems of Puerto Rico. Now, he went down there and he was blamed for the way he did things. He's blamed for not helping Puerto Rico like he helped Texas, and they're always complaining that he has a brown people problem. No. First of all, he doesn't have a problem with people. He's probably got more women, more minorities than ever any other administration on his team. But they're constantly blaming President Trump for this. There's no way that President Trump could be guilty from something from 1996 to 2018. There's just no way that could happen. You could say that maybe Obama, George W. Bush, President Clinton, they were in power during this time. Now, if they wanted to help, they could have done that. If somebody, I don't know if anyone came to ask them for help. I don't know if there was any lawmakers who asked them for help, but they could have helped them during that time. They could have maybe sent someone like the Army Corps of Engineers to oversee the shoring up of the electrical grid, but none of that happened. But all of a sudden, it's President Trump's fault that Puerto Rico has not recovered, that Puerto Rico had people die because of lack of power, because of lack of supplies, whatever it was. In fact, the reason I bring this up is our freshman congressman that everybody loves to laugh at, Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez, has brought it up this week that Hurricane Maria caused a huge humanitarian crisis where close to 3,000 people died for lack of aid from the U.S., where President Trump's administration continues to refuse to help. Okay, he's not trying to not help. There was a lot of food and a lot of supplies, water, medical supplies, and all that, according to the Daily Beast, which put out a report that there was 8 months ago, they found trailers of bottled water and food rotting in an unused parking lot next to an election office in Puerto Rico. Now, people were dying for water. Why was that not distributed? And you didn't hear very much about this on the media because they don't want to talk about that kind of thing. They only want to talk about Trump did bad, and he's letting people die, and that's just complete hooey because there was a lot of aid that was sent there and nobody even bothered to distribute it. So how is that Trump's fault? How is the financial crisis of Puerto Rico Trump's fault? Wouldn't it stand to reason that it would be somebody else's fault in the last 20 years? Because this stuff doesn't happen like in a day. It has to go over time. And there's no way that it had time to disintegrate as far as the electrical grid since the president has been in office the last 3 years. If you'd like to get more information about these articles from which I'm quoting about Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez and the Daily Beast, you can find them at these websites. I encourage you to look this up because the media is not going to tell you anything about these things. They're not going to point out the fact that all of this was available and nobody got it. They're just not going to talk about it. I would like for anybody that would want to contact me to get in touch with me through social media. I have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and there's Gmail. I'm more than happy to hear your comments. And now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something else that I think needs to be brought to your attention.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hi, welcome back to the Freedom Zone, where we're still setting the truth free whether you like it or not. This last segment I would like to address the immigration problem and the actual fire, they say, at the southern border. Our Homeland Security director has said that the place is on fire because people are pouring over the border like water. There's more caravans coming. President Trump has proposed for the wall, and he's working on that. He's trying to get our border secured without any cooperation whatsoever from the Congress, very little from the Senate. If you notice that Rhino Mitch McConnell refused to back him on health care, so naturally they're not gonna, he's not much of a backer, so let's just say that. But he has asked Mexico to please turn the people back before they get to our border. And of course, the Secretary of the Interior of Mexico has let him know that that's not forthcoming. They're not going to help. And you know, that's funny because Mexico is right beside us and we give them a lot of aid. They've benefited highly from NAFTA. Now, I wouldn't say that the common person, the everyday workaday person, has benefited from anything that we give to Mexico because the government is so corrupt there. Now, the one thing I can appreciate about the Mexican government is they are honest about their corruption. It's like, hand it over now. Okay, keep counting, keep counting. Okay, that's good. Our government would like to pretend they're pure, you know, all pure and dainty. But there's still, you know, there's a lot of corruption. But at least Mexico's government is honest about it. I mean, in 1985, we had a landslide earthquake in that area. And our country sent $20 billion of aid to Mexico in order to rebuild the infrastructure, in order to help the people who've lost their homes, and such as that. Did the people get that? I doubt they got a third of it, or maybe even an eighth if they were lucky. But yet the president at that time, whose name was Salinas, and it may be a coincidence, and I'm not saying anything, but his family and him, his wife, his brother, they were all found crossing into America with large sums of cash. I don't think the president was, but his brother was, and his wife. And you know, that money was also not able to be accounted for. And I have gone into Mexico many, many times. I have family there. And the people there are very industrious. They don't have jobs. The government doesn't make jobs for them. They don't try to build their infrastructure. They don't try to make an economy or a life for the people there. So these people will make themselves a job. They'll sell fruit. They'll sell earplugs on the subway. Saw a little girl about 4 years old, and her brother, he played guitar, and she sang, a beautiful little girl, and people would give them, coins and all. So they're making their own jobs, and yet we continue to send humanitarian aid and such to them in order for them to build a life for their own people. We do that in lots of South American countries. We send them money in order to help them build their own life, not to come here for a life, but to build their own life so they can stay in their country with their family. And that's the purpose of all the money that we send. And yet, when we ask a favor of Mexico, now we have a new president in Mexico, and his idea of building an infrastructure and an economy was to send people here, which that's great. That's really passing the buck. That would be like President Trump saying, okay, everybody to Canada, they got jobs. That's not right. That's not why you're voted in. But that was kind of his idea. So President Trump is pretty much up to here with trying to control the border. He's pushing through. It's like he's going uphill through Jello because he's fighting Congress. He's fighting his own party. And he's trying to build the wall. And this is something he promised us. He promised that he would build the wall. I've never in my lifetime seen a president keep more promises than President Trump does. So he's working really hard to do the right thing, to build the wall, to stop the influx. It's not just people who want a better life, and I understand that. I have no compunction with people who want to come and build a better life. They want to come legally. They want to go by the proper channels. They want to stand in line behind the people who have already been waiting. Great. But these are criminals. These are people from other countries who are here to do mischief. There are so many things that pass through that border that we don't need. We don't need fentanyl. We don't need cocaine. We don't need heroin. We don't need marijuana to pass through those borders. The cartels are running Mexico. So they are not going to help us because, that's cutting off their drug money. But if you think about it, if he has to shut the border down in a last-ditch effort, and I support him, I understand, but do you realize how much produce, how many products, how many things come through the southern border that we consume? Especially, my favorite example is avocados. We all love avocados. Almost all, not some people. But, we like guacamole, all those things. We get a tremendous amount of our avocados from Mexico. They're truly a higher quality avocado. They have a better flavor. And, we do grow them in Florida, we do grow them in California, but the Mexican avocados are just better. In a week or two, we're going to start feeling shortages quite a bit. And this is because our president has no cooperation, no help. The border people are constantly asking the Democratic Party, please come down here, talk to us. We'll show you where they're getting in. We'll show you how people are getting hurt. We'll show you what's going on. And they won't go. They won't go. Why doesn't Nancy Pelosi go to the border and look at this? If she's so determined that she's right, why doesn't she go? And Chuck Schumer and all of these naysayers who's like, oh, it's a manufactured crisis. Why don't they go down there? Just look. Just take a trip. They're always willing to take a trip. Take a trip to Texas. Take a trip to New Mexico, Arizona. Just have a little look-see. But they won't go. And the reason they won't go is because they know President Trump is right. It's amazing. This guy will make predictions and he'll be right. Or he'll make accusations and he'll be right. He's almost like my mother as far as his record of being right when it's time to say, I told you so. But he's got to have cooperation. And the DHS Secretary, Kirstjen Nielsen, she's like, I can't do anything. And the border people are saying, we can't do anything. We need Congress to release some sort of resources so we can hire more people, so that we can, get this job done. Because this is a huge problem that's been percolating for 30 plus years. It's just growing exponentially worse every day. I don't expect it to get better. We've got to stop the influx of drugs, of gang members, and people that we can't support. We do not have the funds to support the world. The world has to support itself. We're very good about helping our people, but that's for American citizens or legal citizens who are here with the proper paperwork, or they were born here. Yes, we're glad to help you, but we can't help everybody, all of us, because there's only so many people like me and other people working that put tax money into the system. And I don't care what some of these freshman Congress people say, we're morally right to stop them at the border, because no country is a country without borders. I mean, look at the Great Wall of China. That was so many thousand, I don't know how long, I really have no idea how long ago it was built. But it's a wall for their borders, and no one criticized them for that. No one criticizes the people in Europe for their borders. No one criticizes Mexico for walling off Guatemala. No one's criticizing those people. I mean, and if you look at the Israelis, they built a wall, and they had like 99.9% stoppage of illegal personage that passes through their area. So it's imperative, like I did. I wrote my senator. I got a letter from him, and I thank him so much. Write your senators. Write your congressman. Be an absolute pest. I don't care if you send them an email every day. That's what we need, so that they understand they work for us. We're their constituents. They do what we say. It's like if your boss tells you to go and sweep the front door or whatever, around the front door, and you say, do you think you're going to get a job? Do you think you're going to keep a job? Do you think that he's not going to be angry with you? We should be angry. We should be more than furious with these people who have the audacity to pretend to represent us when they don't care about anything but what they want, what they can get, and their agenda. They think we're too stupid to know what we really want or need, and that's very untrue, because we all know what we need. We voted for who we wanted. You need to follow the president that 60 million plus people voted for and make this wall happen and shut down our border. Save our border patrol, because they get hurt. They get killed. ICE, they get hurt. They get killed. They're trying to keep America safe while these politicians live behind their walled-in subdivisions or their walled-in homes with their security guards, while they're allowing this criminal riffraff to come through our country and hurt people. There's people that have been killed by illegal aliens who should not have been here. They should have never been here. These people should still be with their families today. But for the border wall being, the border area being wide open and no wall, we have to have law. We have to have a border, or we're not a country. And that's the only real purpose of government, is to keep people safe. I wrote an article about this, going into more detail of what we've done with Mexico and what we think that they should do to help us. And of course they disagree, but you can read it there, and you can look up anything that you'd like, or you can contact me if you have any questions, because I would be more than happy to answer anything. But it's important that we are vigilant and that we are fighting for our country one way or the other. You may not be fighting like a war, but it is a war. It's a war on our way of life. It's a war on our safety. It's a war on the health of our children, because people are coming through that haven't ever been inoculated and they're very ill. So write your congressman, write your senator, call your local representatives even, and start making a difference every day for our great country, because it is a great country indeed. And feel free to contact me through social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can send me an email, and I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for joining me in the Freedom Zone today, where the truth is set free. If I didn't offend you today, I will try to do better next time. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.